If you've been shopping for a multi-process welder that can handle everything from thin sheet metal to thicker materials without breaking the bank, you've probably run into a lot of confusing options. The Hobart 500578 Multi-Handler 200 promises to simplify things by letting you switch between MIG, TIG, and stick welding with one machine. But the last thing you want is something that looks good on paper but turns into a headache in your garage or workshop. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What really matters here isn't just the number of processes it supports, it's whether this thing can actually deliver clean, stable arcs without requiring a PhD in welding to set up. A lot of multi-process machines either overpromise on features you won't use or underdeliver when you push them past the basics. This one sits in that sweet spot where it's not a high-end industrial unit, but it's also not a bare-bones hobbyist toy. If you're a DIYer working on projects around the house, a small fabrication shop, or even a beginner who wants room to grow without immediately upgrading, it's worth a closer look. The headline feature is the 3-in-1 capability, but the real value comes from how it handles the transitions between processes. MIG welding is straightforward for most users, and this machine keeps it simple with a smooth, consistent feed. Stick welding is where a lot of budget machines start to sputter, especially when you're working on dirty or rusty metal. The Hobart 500578 actually holds its own here, maintaining a steady arc even when the material isn't in perfect condition. That's not something you'll see in the marketing photos, but it's the kind of thing that saves you time and frustration when you're on a deadline. TIG welding is where things get interesting. Most multi-process welders treat TIG as an afterthought, but this one includes a foot pedal and decent amperage control, which is more than enough for basic stainless or mild steel work. If you're welding thin materials or doing some light artistic fabrication, it won't replace a dedicated TIG machine, but it'll get the job done without forcing you to buy a second welder. That's a big deal if you're working in a small space or on a tight budget. Now, let's talk about the trade-offs. The biggest one is the duty cycle. At 200 amps, it's rated for 30% duty cycle, which means you can't run it at full power for more than 3 minutes out of 10 without a cooldown. If you're doing short, intermittent welds, that's fine. But if you're fabricating something larger or running long beads, you'll need to pace yourself. Some users might find that limiting, especially if they're used to higher duty cycle machines. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something to plan for. Another practical consideration is the weight. This isn't a lightweight unit, it clocks in at around 80 pounds. If you're planning to move it around your garage or take it to job sites, you'll want a cart or a helper. It's not the kind of thing you'll be lugging up and down stairs every day, but once it's in place, it stays put. That's fine for a home workshop, but if portability is a priority, you might want to look elsewhere. The control panel is another area where this machine keeps things simple. You get straightforward knobs for voltage and wire feed speed, which is great for quick adjustments, but there's no digital display or memory settings. If you're someone who likes to fine-tune parameters and save presets, you might find that frustrating. It's not a deal-breaker for most users, but it's worth noting if you're coming from a more advanced machine. Who should buy this? If you're a DIYer who occasionally needs to weld different materials but doesn't want to invest in 3 separate machines, this is a solid choice. It's also a good fit for small fabrication shops or hobbyists who are serious about expanding their skills without breaking the bank. The included accessories like the MIG gun and stick electrode holder are decent for the price, so you're not stuck buying a bunch of extra gear right away. Who should skip it? If you're a professional welder who needs high duty cycles, advanced TIG features, or industrial-grade durability, this isn't the machine for you. It's also not ideal if you're constantly moving the welder around or need ultra-precise control. And if you're just starting out and aren't sure how much you'll use it, you might want to rent or borrow a welder first to see if it's the right fit. The Hobart 500578 Multi-Handler 200 isn't flashy, but it delivers where it counts. It's reliable, easy to set up, and handles the basics without drama. If you need a no-frills, 3-in-1 welder that won't empty your wallet or waste your time. This is one of the better options out there.